Welcome back to the Backseat Startup Podcast, where we give unsolicited advice to strangers on the internet.
Today I'm joined by Kyle Kemp. Kyle has deep startup experience, having led teams to 8 figures in sales, but he has not been a founder until now. Kyle is the founder of Flygrade, which uses AI to make trading card grading and evaluation immediate and affordable. Kyle, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. Excited to chat with you, Luke.
So this is the show where we give unsolicited advice to strangers on the internet. So I will pull open Reddit, we'll find a question posed by a founder, and we'll break it down.
All right, let's do it.
Let's jump in. Let me know when any of these sound interesting to you. Timing of raising.
That's a tough one.
Are you thinking about incorporating an affiliate marketing program?
Am I? With Flygrade?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
I think affiliate marketing is intriguing, especially when you're getting started, right? I won't say it's inexpensive per se. You're still paying out on the back end, but it's a low barrier to getting your name out there, right? Into getting into some good circles.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to double click here and see what this one's all about?
Let's do it.
Great. So I will read it for the sake of the listeners. So this post is titled Tips for a Successful Affiliate Marketing Program. I'm a co-founder at a CPG startup, and we started a affiliate program on Impact a couple of months ago. We've reached out to minor and major publications as well as the social media influencers already on Impact. Haven't had a whole lot of luck yet, but we heard it can take a few months to get an affiliate program off the ground. If you've started a successful affiliate program through Impact or another platform, did you see an ROI from doing something specific? Any processes you can recommend? Did you need to reach out several times before you started working with a publication and influencer? For what it's worth, our contract team's terms included a 15% payout on sale, and the commission scales upward based on sales volume. We heard a 15% baseline was competitive for our industry, beverage, but if you've seen otherwise, would love to hear it. So I actually haven't heard of Impact. Are you familiar with that platform?
Vaguely, as a software, as a SaaS to support affiliates.
Got it. And you're kind of heading in this direction. Have you been involved in affiliate marketing in other capacities in your career?
Not so much on the affiliate side. I've never done it myself, and I have not either. And I have not set one up for Flygrade just yet. But outbound prospecting, convincing people to put your name out there, paying them a commission, all things that I am very familiar with, which is why I'm so drawn to the potential of this affiliate space.
Yeah, absolutely. So the question posed by this founder, do you have any initial thoughts just based on what they have here?
The first thing that popped into my mind would be, I would certainly be curious to understand what type. I understand why going after an influencer that's already on the program would make sense, as there's less trying to entice them to sign up for this different thing. Again, not being as familiar with Impact, it's my understanding that it's just a cost to the company, right? So it wouldn't cost your new influencer to join, but I'd also be interested to see what size influencer they're trying to target. Personally, I think there's a lot of value in what I would refer to as like a micro influencer. And maybe it's someone under 10,000, maybe someone under 25,000 in followers. And what I look for is like really good engagement. So I've got a target list that I'm going after, and I'm seeing really good open rates, really good connection rates with these influencers in this space who have this nice community that I'm trying to build, and who also aren't going to be shocked if I did offer them 15% because they're used to getting something more, or they're getting used they don't like affiliate, they like being paid for post. So I like kind of that micro space. Be something I would definitely recommend that they check out if they aren't already.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm wondering if beverage as an industry just happens to be more like the big influencer players, but I think that's exactly right. Like the gateway into this kind of intermediate influencer tier of content creators. But I'm curious where you think it fits into the sales lifecycle. Do you think affiliate marketing is something that can be utilized at every stage of a company's life, or do you think it's kind of most helpful in the early stages for lead gen? What do you think about that?
Yeah, man, that's a really good question. I would prioritize it in the beginning. And I'm sure there are people who have other thoughts on this, primarily because, right, we talked about this low barrier, right? Like I'm not paying a lot of money up front. I'm paying you a commission on the back end. So I'm paying for results, which is great as you're getting going. And you can reach an audience fairly quickly, right? You don't just have to have one. You could have 4, 5, 10 different affiliate campaigns going, driving inquiries back to your page, or they fill out a form, or whatever your setup's going to be. So early on, definitely in the sales process. Now, as your company grows and you maybe want to have more protection around the type of people representing your business, an affiliate is certainly something that becomes a risk, right? Because you're not really sure at all times, right? Something could happen, so we could change their mindset on stuff. Depending on how big this influencer becomes, people are going to be consistently, following them around, whether it's paparazzi potentially if they get to that size, right? And so you have this risk of someone that's this kind of like an employee of your business, right? But really just partnering with you, and you got to make sure that they are this representative of your brand that you want at all times. And so to me, that becomes a little bit riskier for sure as you're older, as you get larger as a brand.
Yeah, I'm really glad you touched on the reputational aspect, because I think that's a huge aspect of it when you're having somebody else, for better or for worse, market your product. So I'm curious what you think about the decision to go broad or to go bespoke, reach out to curated people who you trust and know and are communicating the message that you want to communicate. And does that change throughout the life cycle?
Yeah, man. So I'm always a fan of like going deep versus going broad, like into what I'm targeting. Whether if they have a niche, or if they feel like they have their niche, then definitely I would say go deep into that, because then that you're potentially, if you're a startup, you may feel like you've found it, but that elusive product market fit, that ideal client profile, right? And so if you go deep, you'll know. To me, you'll know a little bit quicker, and you won't have kind of this shiny object syndrome because you've gone so broad of trying to target so many people. So I would recommend going deep. I think you could make the argument for going broad, especially at the beginning, and be able to test, iterate, and do a bunch of different things at that time. But for me, it's try to get as deep as possible into my ICP and the market that I feel like I'm targeting, and then take that feedback and iterate on it.
Yeah, I think that's really well said. This next question is purely out of curiosity. You are in the trading card industry. Are there influencers in the trading card industry?
There are. And really, the industry, it's the terminology that's utilized is the hobby. And so there are quite a few influencers in the hobby. You had mentioned, we were talking earlier, you talked about Twitter. Twitter's a great space for it. Instagram, obviously. I'd love to see it more on LinkedIn. It's not quite as much there. I think it's starting to grow though, as I've been on there, engaging, interacting with people. It's been great. But yeah, and same thing, right? There's some like pseudo influencers, and I'd be curious, Luke. I'm not sure what you would call this, but like like a Gary V, right? Like Gary V is a card collector. He's been open about his collections at times. He's a huge Jets fan. He's also got V friends. He's been on the Pokemon scene. So he's kind of like this pseudo influencer. And there's quite a few different people that are in that space as well, who maybe aren't like, I'm just solely focused on trading cards. That might be a little more of the broad piece. But yeah, there's a lot.
Got it. That makes sense. So when you say pseudo-influencer, they have a main shtick that is not necessarily in the cards, but they have a large audience and they're talking about trading cards. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Have you seen anything like this on the vertical video front, TikTok, Reels, anything like that?
I'm trying to think. One of the most influential things right now in the hobby are what are called breaks. And so people will, whether it's on TikTok or Instagram Live, or even on Whatnot, which is like a completely separate application that these breakers go on to. And what they'll do is they'll open packs live, like boxes of these hobbies boxes that you normally wouldn't be able to just purchase yourself. And so they'll like crowdfund the box and then they'll break it live. And I mean, they're pulling like incredible cards out. And so the following for those live videos and then for those accounts is pretty substantial. You've got guys like Backyard Breaks that do a lot in that. So he's probably like one of the, man, I think they have like 18 hours of stream going every single day with like so many different breakers and things. That has become such a new vertical within trading cards, which is really interesting.
No, that's fascinating, and silly me thinking this was an original thought. Of course, it already exists, but that's exactly what I was thinking about. I was thinking,
right?
Storage wars of cards. Think about how many like trading cards are just laying around in somebody's attic or basement. It's crazy. And so this is a casting call. TikTok. I don't know if there's a TikTok profile out there who is just going to yard sales, buying whole bins of trading cards and sorting through them. A, you should use Flygrade. And B, if that doesn't already exist, it should, because that would be a really fun watch.
I would tune in for sure.
Do you have any other advice for this Reddit poster?
I was just reading through. Let's see. So they ask about the ROI from what they've done. Do you reach out several times before you begin working with a publication or influencer? So when it comes to cold outbound outreach, what I've found to be successful in trying to develop partnerships with influencers or with other corporations for Flygrade has actually been to go through socials for corporations. So instead of like a cold outbound email to the CEO, et cetera, making a phone call, I still do some of that as well. But going through the socials and then working my way up to the decision maker for a corporation has gone really well for me. And then when it comes to the influencers, what's great about the hobby is I put myself where my customers are. So that'd be my recommendation. Go where your customers might be, who the people who are going to be purchasing potentially will be, maybe even where these influencers will be. Introduce yourself and what you're trying to do. I think that you're going to find as you put yourself in those situations, how many people respect the hustle, and they will have a conversation with you. They'll hear you out simply because of the effort that you put into to get to that point. And then lastly, I think we talked about Gary Vee once, and I'll bring him up again. I know this is not the Gary Vee show, but like personalizing your outreach. So if you like study that influencer and you understand what's important to them, the things that they care about, what's their favorite sports team, or what's their, if it's not their favorite beverage, right? What's their favorite place to go and eat? And you customize and you send them something because you want their attention, right? If it's the right influencer and you sent them a $100 gift card to their favorite place to eat, well, more than likely you're going to get that response that you're looking for. You're going to get that person to reach back out and say, okay, I want to hear what you have to say. Thanks for taking the extra effort to get my attention.
Yeah, absolutely. Really well said. Wishing this poster the best. You're welcome for the unsolicited advice. Kyle, thank you so much for being on the show. How can listeners connect with you?
Yeah, I certainly prefer, if you're on LinkedIn, go ahead and connect with me on LinkedIn. You can find me under Kyle F. Kemp. Or if you search for Flygrade on LinkedIn, you'll be able to connect with me through there. And then if you're interested in Flygrade, obviously you can download us in either the Google or Apple App Store. But our handles on social media are flygradeit.com. Our website's flygradeit.com, and our socials are flygradeit. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear feedback, and we love talking with prospects and with customers as much as we can.
By the time this episode comes out, we will have just featured Flygrade, so definitely go check out those features on Startup Founder Daily. Kyle, thank you so much once again for being on the show, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Luke. I appreciate it. Have a good one, man.
You too.
The Backseat Startup Podcast is brought to you by Startup Founder Daily, a media company focused on early-stage companies. To learn more or apply to be featured for free, head over to startupfounderdaily.com. You can find the link in the description below.